It's a hot, humid Monday morning in Mombasa. Sumaya Juma is studying for classes in electrical engineering. She's in her final year of a 3-year diploma. She was encouraged to go into this field by her father, who also works in engineering.
So when I was back at home, I used to do like several stuffs and like with the electronics part. Like I want to know why this one comes this way, why is this color, why is like the antenna, the remote, how does it interface with the machines? And I was like, I really wanted to know what that was.
Sumaya is the face of the future in Kenya. Not only is she female, she's also taking a different path in post-secondary education. Instead of going to university, Sumaya is attending a technical and vocational school, known in Kenya as TVET, an option that, until now, hasn't always been a popular one.
All along, TVET education has been viewed as a destination for those who cannot be able to cope with university education, those who don't perform well in schools, those who therefore should do manual work, labor, and so on.
It is really important in our Kenyan context because TVET is generally, in quotes, a new area in the minds of a lot of people. Previously, students graduate from high school with the aim of proceeding into university. If there is no university education, then that's the end of education. We are sensitizing our population so that they know that if they have not gone to university, there is still a pathway for furthering their education.
Kenya is a country of 51 million people, with a vision to be, in its words, an industrializing middle-income country by 2030. To get there, the government is focused on what's known as the Big Four: affordable housing, universal healthcare, food security, and the economy. 9 in 10 unemployed Kenyans are under 35 years old, and 1 in 5 20 to 24-year-olds are without a job. Kenya hopes to improve these stats by implementing skills-based training within TVET institutions to better align the education system with the needs of industry. This is where the Kenya Education for Employment program, otherwise known as KEFEP, fits in. KEFEP is a $20.6 million initiative funded by Global Affairs Canada, implemented by Colleges and Institutes Canada in cooperation with the Kenyan government's Ministry of Education. KEFEP's goal is to partner Kenyan and Canadian institutions to improve TVET education, so more young people in Kenya will be able to find better paying, meaningful jobs. KEFEP is working with the country's 11 national polytechnics to reform curriculum, strengthen teaching, develop hands-on learning, enhance leadership and management, and improve gender equality.
KEFEP program will, in and of itself, create training for about 1,200 young people in Kenya. But there's also the multiplier effect because the training is being provided for curriculum developers, for academics, for people in the technical colleges who will create programming that's really going to ripple throughout the economy for years to come.
Over a 5-year period, faculty and staff from several Canadian colleges and institutes are sharing their skills and expertise with their peers in Kenya, both here and in Canada.
And so our international strategy is basically there to help colleges and institutes in Canada think about ways in which they need to do a better job of preparing students to work around the world, really.
One of those ways is through competency-based training, or CBET. Susan Cheptam teaches plumbing at the Eldoret National Polytechnic. As a former plumber, she has the skills to teach practical skills as well as theory.
It is very good because it is just you learn the skills of your hands. You use just your hands and the knowledge, not much of paperwork. it is much of doing.
But teaching practical skills hasn't always been the case in Kenya.
One was just given a certificate because he has passed an exam. But now with the civic approach, through this cooperation, you are given a certificate because you are able to demonstrate a competence, not just passing an exam.
Our generation is pretty much laid back because they have all the information on the internet. You give them an assignment, they will go Googling and they produce it to you. So CBET, I think, comes into place such that it places demands on them to get the skills. So that will get the students more involved. I think it will get them more actively participating during the learning process.
It's a learning style that is still growing in Kenya, but one that students such as Sumaya look forward to.
Because right now I can say that I've really learned a lot. I've had a lot of classes, a lot of theory, but I haven't seen how these things I'm being taught work. And the skill base, I think it shows me how these things work. And if I was there and if I would see that, I'd really be happy, because when I go out there and I see the same thing, I say, oh, I saw this somewhere and I know how it works. So I'd really love to do that sometime.
However, reforming the system is not without challenges. Changing attitudes and adjusting to this new way of learning will take time for students and instructors.
We have been trained in the old curriculum where talk, and then we deliver. But here we are required to implement a curriculum where we are supposed to be doing. So it's also challenging on the part of the instructors, because they have to change the way of doing things. Also, this curriculum also requires a lot of equipment. It is not like the other one where you just required maybe the 4 walls, students sitting there lecturing. For this one, you have to have the equipment.
At the Meru National Polytechnic, Canadian partners are teaching their Kenyan colleagues to build hands-on activities into their lesson plans. At one point, that took them to a local farm.
We are trying to reinforce their competencies and their knowledge in agriculture, and at the same time trying to show to them how to organize a practical activity with their students. So that was the reason why we went to the farm, because this is a real environment, this is the real job contest. So our agriculture specialists could facilitate some activities with them, with real animals in a real farm condition, and to simulate how the lectors could work with the students in the real life.
Because once they're infected, we might not control them again, okay?
KEFEP is also providing an opportunity for polytechnics to modernize their institutions.
There has been a challenge of the equipment, especially the modern equipment. Most of our institutions have obsolete equipment, or maybe technology is moving so fast, and some of the institutions are still having the old equipment. So another thing that I've loved about KEFEP is that they are also addressing the need of modern equipment. So I can see it's very relevant.
Building relationships with industry is a key pillar of KEFEP. In the past, TVETs rarely consulted with employers.
KEFEP came the right time. There is a lot of debate that has been going on in Kenya about skills mismatch between training and the needs of the industry. I keep saying this is action time. We need to stop the talk and walk the talk.
Because many times the industry has been saying that there is a gap, that whatever we are training them, they have to retrain them once they are employed. So we are hoping with these changes, they will be able to just move from college straight to the industry without a problem, smoothly.
Several institutions have already created an Industry Advisory Committee, or IAC, to find out what employers need. At Kenya Coast National Polytechnic, they have already met with 32 industry leaders, and were surprised to hear they were interested in working together.
Some of them, I was meeting them for the first time, yet I've been here all this time as the industrial liaison officer.
Industry is also playing a critical role in reforming curriculum. For example, students in Meru are learning new farming techniques.
In my family, yes, they are farmers, but they are not doing fine because we have a cow, but we just get 5 liters a day. But for me, I want to learn more, and I can keep cattle, which can give me at least 60 liters or 300 liters per day.
At Northeastern and Kabete National Polytechnics, industry partnerships have already led to donations of tools and scholarships.
Here in Kenya, we've got donations from Toyota Kenya in terms of scholarships, mentoring, allowing the staff from Kabete and Polytechnical Institute, as well as Northeastern, to go and receive the training that they provide to their faculty at no cost.
This is essential to graduates who can then enter the workforce ready to work.
By the end of this program, we expect to come up with a curriculum that's market-driven. We want something that's market-driven so that when we produce our graduates, they can be easily accepted in the market. This one has also increased collaborations and linkages to the industry. Now we are free knowing our industry, and it has opened so many chances for our students actually to get industrial attachment.
Industrial attachments, or internships, let students practice what they've learned in the classroom. But some students say they felt unprepared.
A lot of workmanship is needed, tangible workmanship. There is not much of thinking and the theory part, but more of applying what you've learned.
Some institutions are also making classrooms look more like industry and taking students out into the field more often on class visits.
They have always imagined it's not part of their curriculum, it's something happening outside in the field. So when they realize that now they can have it here, and when they go out, they have no problems with even the, adjusting to the environment of the industry.
I think that in ways we have to look away from a supply-demand scenario, but more to a scenario or a platform that's co-created. And industry does definitely have a role in not only informing the entire national system, but it also has a responsible role in promoting other areas where it focuses on work-integrated learning, the promotion of innovation, the commitment to direction as far as its labor requirements are concerned, the quality, the quantity of graduates.
Knowing what industry wants and needs means the polytechnics can also create occupational standards, something that is also new, and start to build their own industry-driven curriculum.
Today, we are still offering courses that are prepared by a body called KICD, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, and then examined by NEC, that's Kenya National Examination Council, which pretty is limiting for us because you have to teach a curriculum you didn't create, and you are examined by another body who didn't create the curriculum, which is not training. Our desire is that after the best practices we are learning through this program, we will implement the CBET courses, do our own curriculum that is endorsed by industry, produce graduates that have the skills required out there.
And when you look at some of the institutions that we are working with in Canada, if they have occupational standards that are already developed, we don't have to reinvent the wheel when we come to Kenya.
KEFEP partners are also learning to build essential skills into their curriculum. This includes reading, writing, numeracy, oral communication, and digital literacy.
And we call them Velcro skills because when you have those skills, all the technical skills that you learn sticks to it. When they're working on a car, say they've gotten an order from a client, they've got to take the information from the order, they've got to use the information from the parts that they're putting in, and so teach the instructors how to build activities into the way they teach that build those skills.
A critical piece of KEFEP is gender equality, whether that's encouraging more women to enter male-dominated fields or vice versa. It also means creating gender-responsive curricula and making sure training workshops are gender-friendly.
And we realize that, especially for female students, it becomes a problem because they need a lot of muscle or they involve a lot of manual work. So with the power tools, they would be able to do much of the work.
For a very long time, TVET programs have been considered to be male-dominated, especially the traditional trade areas. However, bringing in new technologies, bringing in requirement of infrastructure, smart curriculum has made it possible for issues of gender to be included in this project and by extension the entire TVET program.
While there have been improvements on gender equality in Kenya, many say there are still cultural barriers.
See, once a girl has been married out at 13, it means their dreams are kind of shattered because they will not have a choice on who to marry, number one. They will get pregnant at 13, so that means they will not be able to go to school, and those that are in school will drop out. And we find a very small percentage of parents or communities willing to take back their girls to school, much as we have a return to school policy in Kenya.
Why are you looking for capacity?
But she says it cuts both ways. Sometimes boys are forced out of school to provide money for families, and there is still a bias against young men going into so-called soft jobs.
When a girl is growing up in a Kenyan community, you'll be told to be meek, to be feminine, and so the careers that we are kind of socialized to go into are these soft, can I say soft careers like nursing, like teaching, like being an ECD teacher. But then the boy will be encouraged to go for, let's say, mechanics or engineering and all that. But then this socialization starts at a very early age, right from the home to the schools, because our teachers are products of socialization.
At many polytechnics, including Kisumu, there's a strong effort to attract more women to typically male-dominated fields, such as mechanical engineering, and it's paying off.
At the moment, there are some classes we're having like three ladies, 4 ladies against 37 men. And some classes at the moment, they're still like 1 or 2. But I'm glad that there are no class that lacks a female, and that is an achievement.
So what do you hope to learn from today?
Canadian facilitators such as Joanne Spicer from Durham College are working with the polytechnics on gender mainstreaming. This means everything from understanding the barriers that exist for students and staff to developing gender action plans.
Faculty with their heads of departments, with their student body, with their institutional partners, and the action plans outline how that is going to happen, when it's going to happen, and who's going to do it. We've been working with in the gender mainstreaming groups have done a lot of work on recognizing and understanding the difference between, say, sex and gender. The fact that gender is societal, it's defined by where we grew up and how we were raised and our individual cultures, and those have significant impacts on how we run institutions. And I think that work is important.
Hard labor, I'm not used to it.
How are you body? Remove the body. Remove.
KEFEP is also focused on encouraging environmental sustainability, whether on campus or incorporated into curriculum. At some institutions, a tree is planted whenever a KEFEP partner visits.
Told us they do not plant trees in their country, and we are imposing on them, when you go back, plant trees, because every time they come, after every session, we have a KEFEP corner. They come and plant trees. And I remember Bruno and the companion, they were telling us this is something that we need to introduce in our institutions. We have a lot of grass, but we do not have trees.
Critical to the success of KEFEP is one word: partnership.
Because I can assume 100% that the things we do in Canada are 100% good for Kenya, because we have to adapt things here. So I think we can just arrive here and say, just take our model and start working. We have a lot of adaptation work to do. And honestly, we are also learning.
KEFEP is at the midpoint. Already, partners have met several times, both in Kenya and in Canada. Labor market studies are complete, new programs and new curriculum are well under development, industry partnerships have been formed, and leadership teams are working to improve recruitment and retention strategies. In June of 2018, the Kenyan and Canadian partners also met in Nairobi for their first ever TVET forum, where they discussed a range of topics, from policy and funding to research to assessment. At a national level, many political and policy changes are underway, the most significant of which is government support for and focus on TVET training. Currently, less than 2% of funding in Kenya is directed at TVETs, but that's expected to change over the next 2 years, in part thanks to KEFEP.
We're lobbying day in, day out for that. And we're trying to bring greater awareness as to why it needs to be funded, but at the same time be responsible to recognize that there has to be certain outcomes for it to be funded. And so you need systems that promote productivity, innovation, and efficiency.
There are high hopes that will be achieved by the time KEFEP wraps up in 2021.
Find that most people, they have potential, but if there's no environment, good environment and motivation, people die with great potential. But if KEFEP program is the competency-based program is going to be enrolled, we're sure that our students are going to discover most of the potentials that are in our students.
And I urge all national polytechnics to embrace it and make sure that it succeeds. And even after the sponsors or our Canadian partners complete the first phase, we should have acquired the necessary management abilities to pick up and move to phase 2.
We are actually in the right place, because with our development in agriculture, we're going to be fully involved in helping to achieve the Agenda 4, which is actually very good for the acquisition for realization of Vision 2030. So we feel we are giving our contribution, not just to ourselves, not just to the Polytechnic, not just to Kenya, but to the whole world, because it's something that we all need.
For Sumaya, KEFEP comes too late. She finishes her diploma this year, but she's glad to see the changes coming to Kenya.
I'll be kind of left out, because the skill base is coming when I'm leaving, and I would have been happier if I would have been part of it. Maybe I should try come back instead again.
I continue to be inspired every day. It's been a real privilege to be able to work on behalf of the Government of Canada, other development partners.
We are happy about it, and we believe it will be a success.